live again. Hey Dave, nice to see you.
Hey Daniel, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I am exhausted, but I'm exhausted in a good way because I spent so much time working on a cool new thing, and I think I have to show it to you later.
I'm looking forward to that. I kind of know what it is already, but listeners do not. So yeah, we'll drop that in a minute.
It's a secret.
It is a secret.
It is a
I've
secret.
got
Yeah.
secrets too, Daniel.
You got yeah. The show notes say something about a secret thing. I'm resolved to ask you about it. But shall we start the show first? Hang on.
Yeah.
I got
Oh,
here we go. Hey, welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel, full frontal developer and data visualization enthusiast, and I'm here with Dave, HDMI enthusiast and rebranding consultant. Dave, nice to see you.
kia ora, Daniel. I love it because in our notes for this, like we have the intro written in our notes, and I just looked at it, and for where you add our titles, we've got just after our names in brackets, title. So tell you and prompt you to come up with these things. And I'm looking and I'm going, has he just come up with those on the fly? Did that just come out of the ether, or have you got a list?
You will never know.
Oh, dang it. You know, I like to think maybe you've got a spreadsheet somewhere with a load of these written out already, because you're quicker off the draw than I would be. But,
there might be a like notes document that when I'm just like walking through the city and I'm like, oh, HDMI enthusiast. That sounds kind of funny.
I'm really not an HDMI enthusiast, as it were. I'm definitely a connoisseur's the wrong word. What's somebody who's hypercritical of? I'm an HDMI critic, I guess, of the standard.
You're HDMI uranium if you're hypercritical.
Oh, yes. No, the amount of
Why are you
debugging.
hypercritical about HDMI though? Wanna start with that?
I'll start with that. So it's not really about HDMI. HDMI is just a connection medium. I end up hypercritical about it because sometimes it has oddities in terms of handshaking with different TVs, projectors, devices. And of course, as somebody who makes an app whose critical function is doing that, with my video mixing app, every now and again it causes me a tiny bit of annoyance. But no, that's all to the side. What has actually happened for me only in the last sort of 2 or 3 days, really, is that I've been on a big bug hunt, a massive big bug hunt.
I noticed because suddenly my phone beeps and it says it's a message from Dave, and it's like, you have the iPhone 16, right? Can you take a USB-C to HDMI adapter and connect that thing to a HDMI display so I can debug something?
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yep.
like I was actually like not in front of my computer, so I was like, okay, I can like hop into the Apple Store tomorrow, and like tomorrow morning I can like just sit in front of my computer, but I don't even have a HDMI to USB-C or the other way around connector. And then you're like, yeah, but you get the XDR, but the XDR only has like USB-C / Thunderbolt.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try that. Go to bed, and the next morning I wake up and I'm like, okay, I gotta get up early because I want to be at work a bit earlier in front of the display so I can give you some more time to debug.
Yep.
And I open my phone. There's a message from you that says, never mind, I bought something.
Yep. Yeah. And it's it was definitely a situation of that escalated quickly. So let me wind back to the root cause of this. So I had a support request message, came through Instagram actually, and I would normally, say, oh, can you please hit the feedback button in the app and route it through the feedback service that I use. Plug here for Feedback Bulb, brilliant service. But I entertained the message on Instagram, because it seems like this person was having a bit of a rough time. The bug that they were experiencing is that they had a brand new iPhone 16 Pro. They discovered my app, so the phone is new to them. They're loving it because it's their new shiny, and it's it's the top of the line model, as it were. It's got all the RAM, all of the specs, and they're like, yeah, your app is working great, except as soon as I connect to an external display through USB-C to HDMI, it starts running really choppy. I get these like frame dropouts on the videos that are playing. And so I run through my usual kind of support request questions, like, hey, give me your exact model number, your OS version. Tell me a little bit more about the connector that you're connecting. What sort is it? Does it have a brand? Because a lot of the like no name, really cheap USB-C to HDMI connectors, they can end up with issues where they're sort of buffering or add compression artifacts or things. Every now and again, they're just, you end up with things that are just running at a substandard sort of spec, with a $10 dongle or whatever. So all of that is sort of checked out okay, and turns out they actually do QA for some other sort of product and industry, so they gave me some really good feedback, some really good walkthrough of what they were doing. No good reason for it. We were testing with my demo contents, so that's locked down, because that's the other thing that could be a variable in this, right? Is like, okay, are they running, I don't know, 8K video in ProRes through it, and it's just grinding to a halt? These things happen. These are the sort of things that occur in my support requests, where I sort of talk somebody through it, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, but I've loaded this like massive great file through, and now I'm wondering why the wheels are falling off." No good reason. Tried to debug on my side. I've got an iPad M2, so it's got USB-C. I had a iPhone 14 Pro on Lightning. I have connectors for all of this. I've got a TV in this room, connect everything all together. Cannot reproduce it. And that's where I started messaging you, and that would have been a reasonable test. Even without it going to HDMI, it seemed to just be I was pretty certain that it was going to boil down to when an external display was connected.
But only on a USB-C iPhone, is what you're saying.
On a USB iPhone Pro 16. So, okay, I'm going through the rest of my day. You've gone to sleep. Talk about this with my wife, and I'm like, yeah, actually wondering if this might be a time to think about the upgrade that I was thinking about. And she sort of reminds me of like, yep, well, we have an 18-year-old son who would appreciate your hand-me-down, and it is getting close to Christmas, and this is probably as reasonable a time as any. I was like, okay, I'll see if they've got them in stock.
Well, if
And
you're
you can
twisting my
see where this
arm.
goes. Yeah. So, and then yes, they've got them in stock. There's like one left in the store that's literally 15 minutes drive away from me. So,
Oh, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
this can be done. This can be done. Okay, if I order it now, it'll actually be available on my lunch break, and I can drive over and grab it. And so that's exactly what happened. And then that evening, after I got everything installed, I was then able to debug, hook it up to Xcode. I was able to reproduce the error. Obviously, like, this is a whole round trip of buying a phone, making that decision, setting it all up, and then sort of that moment of truth of like, I don't even know if I want to see the bug or don't want to see the bug. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, on the one hand, if I see the bug, I've got a bug to fix, and this could be an absolute peg. And obviously, if I don't see the bug, well, I know there's one lurking out there that this guy's clearly seeing. I had video evidence he was sending me, is showing me what it was doing. So I actually really wanted to see the bug. I didn't want to go through all this and then not be able to solve this problem. And if you think about this, this is the ultimate kind of nerd snipe situation, in that I'm aware there's this issue. I've got this video evidence of it doing what it was doing, where it was going really choppy. I've got a couple of hunches as to where in the stack it might be and what could be causing it, and a outside hunch on why this might only be appearing in this type of phone as well, which I can talk to my guesses as to what's been going on in a minute. But yeah, so I really needed to reproduce it, get in there, try a couple of things, and then that's exactly what happened. By the time you got my messages, I'd actually pretty much fixed the bug.
Huh.
So yeah, $2,000 the lighter, but I have a lovely new iPhone 16 Pro.
Well, what was the bug?
Yeah.
Like, what caused the bug?
Okay. So, and anybody who is a very experienced metal, or AV Foundation, or CA Display Link developer, anybody who's worked with those technologies, is probably going to scream at me for this. So let's walk through the stack. I have a stack where on a core animation display link, the CA display link, what happens is that you bind the display link object. It gets set up in such a way that it executes a callback for every frame. And it is linked to the refresh rate of your device.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that chugs along, typically at about 60 frames a second on most devices. The number of times a second doesn't really matter at this point. But it's going through a loop. It's doing all of this on the main thread. And every time it does it, it's going through my node-based stack. It's linking all of the core image filters together, sending that image to then go, okay, give me the final output of everything mixed, all the way through to then displaying in 3 places on the UI, and then a 4th when you've got an external display connected. And in those 3 places, you've got the preview of either channel, A and B, and you've got the main output with it mixed. Those areas are essentially MetalKit views, wrapped up for Swift UI and set up in such a way that the output of my image stack gets received. And this is the break. There are a few different ways you can do this sort of rendering. What I was doing is the core, the CA display link loop is depositing that image to the MetalKit view. And then on its MetalKit view loop, it would then be running its draw function and using that received image to draw into itself. And that was the break, is that you've got 2 loops running independently of each other. And then when the external display is connected, for whatever reason, that essentially is not working well. There's some sort of issue underneath there where something on one side or the other, something is waiting for something for an activity to finish, or it's dropping frames because this one's actually locked and being written to. They're out of sync. Is my working theory without being able to debug Apple's code as well as my own. So long story short, I changed all of that into the stack that evening. I now have it so that when my display link updates, it does the drawing work straight into the MetalKit views layer and doesn't do anything that depends on MetalKit's own cycle. And that seems to have largely fixed the bug.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So this is the world I live in, Daniel. These are the problems I try and solve that drive me nuts.
They drive you nuts, but you fixed it. And I bet you feel like so accomplished because you're like, oh yeah, I fixed this very complicated bug where I had to buy a new device to fix it. And it's only in like very specific configuration, but I did fix it.
It did. I sort of walked back into the living room, the rest of the household, like, ready to accept my medal. Like, yeah, done it. Doing the Chad walk. Yeah. So yeah, these are the things that drive me nuts, but also I get a lot of satisfaction out of solving. The irony here is this is a problem of my own making. This worked well enough in most scenarios when I refactored everything last year, and I've just left it alone. I hadn't really thought about it because on everything I was testing it on, it was just working. So yeah, and it's interesting because what I think happens on the Apple side, and again, anybody who's got insight into this, and there's a couple of people I actually know who might, and that's why I'm kind of caveating, but I think what happens on the Apple side is that they make optimizations in the stack. And, different
They do
devices,
like to
different
do that, don't they?
scenarios. Yeah. And I think while this might have been legit in one way or another with where things were working on the other devices, there's probably an optimization on these devices where that kind of falls apart. And it'll be
Do
somewhere in
you
the metal
actually,
side of
yeah.
things.
Do you actually know like people who work on the CA and Metal Kit stuff? Because like I feel like if you
No.
are like working on some sort of niche edge on like some Apple technology, like you get at
Mhm.
one point, like after a few WWDCs, you kind of get to know the other side. Like you know each other, and you're like, oh yeah, you're the person I always talk to. Like I had that with
Yeah.
HomeKit at some point when I was working at Elgato, now Eve.
I feel like I should, but unfortunately, I don't think I do. I know somebody, I work with somebody, and I'm acquainted with somebody who worked for Apple and has had some experience with the graphic drivers, not graphic drivers, rather, with some of the GPU accelerated side of things. And I'm not sure how much more I can say or not. But they were there a while ago and could probably tell me exactly where I was holding things wrong with this if I run them through, and have a good laugh at me in the process as well. So yeah, Keith, if you're listening, mate, have a laugh. But yeah, no, I felt a bit daft because as I look through how this works, the fix for this is like, yeah, of course that feels like that's more optimal. Like I'm not relying on two things both operating on the main loop to be properly in sync together when they're drawing and writing into textures. Like just
Yeah,
do it on the one I've
sounds good.
got. Yeah. But oh, this links
Oh,
to
oh,
another thing, because one
okay.
of the reasons I got here so quickly is because of my top secret new project.
Hang on, before you tell me about your top secret new project, I want to know what color your new phone is and whether you got
I
the
got
big or
it
the
in
small one.
the I got the black one and I got the smaller one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like just quick, did you set it up new or did you set it up as from a backup?
Brand new. Yeah.
Ooh,
So
someone likes to live
no,
dangerously,
well, no. For
but it's
me,
quicker.
yeah. So it's quicker to get into everything and get debugging, but it was also a case of I'm using Proton Pass for password management. And one of the things that I like to do when setting up a new phone from brand new is use it to test that I've got everything that I need actually available. Because I'm still in the this was an opportunity to test whether I got all my passwords for all the things I really value across into Proton
Ah,
Pass, or if
smart,
anything was
smart.
still in Keychain. Yeah. Um, and I like doing that because then I've got everything to hand if I'm using Android as well. So, because Proton Pass is on both, and
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
I used to do this
So,
all the time. Like whenever I got a new computer or a new phone, I would set it up from scratch, just because like you know that you accumulate this cruft, not
you do.
necessarily like back in the Windows days, like stuff that is just like starting in the background and like cluttering your CPU or whatever, but just like I don't know. Hundreds of apps that you tried once and they're just installed now, or they kind of disappear, but the icon is still there and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I
Yep.
used to do that, but now I have like three bank accounts that have various like self-built single sign-on solutions that of course don't get backed up even with encrypted backup. Well, they
Mm-hmm.
do get like half backed up, and I got like so many
Yeah.
things that are just like Yeah, this needs to be working. And if you have both the old phone and the new phone, they can kind of communicate and like pass the secret
Mm-hmm.
over or whatever.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's just like as of now, I can't really do that. But I'm really looking forward to at some point either reinstalling this machine or this Mac, or
Mm-hmm.
actually if I ever get a new one, when I get a new one at some point, just like starting from scratch. There, I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
starting from scratch on Macs still.
Yeah, I hear you on the bank stuff. Actually, when we lived in the UK, that was an issue for me. My New Zealand bank isn't quite as stringent with the SSO end of
Well,
stuff.
stringent. Like, I mean, they could like do proper SSO. They could do.
Mhm.
They could do hardware keys. They could do something, but like it's
Yeah.
mediocre SSO at best. But you got to use their app, and like they just like decide what they store where, and
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah. That's
I'd rather have everything in a single password manager or like pass keys or something. Oh, don't get me
yeah.
started on
Don't
pass
get
keys.
passkeys. I've never quite gelled with, to be fair.
I think it's still too early because, especially with websites, like websites still haven't decided whether they want to use passkeys as additional security, sort of like like two-factor authentication, or if they want to
Mhm.
use passkeys as this is your login now. And
Yes.
because you don't know, like every time a website asks you to use, do you want a passkey? Do you want to use a passkey? You're like,
Mhm.
is this my login? That will this change my login information, or will this just like add an additional step? And then if
Yep.
yes, does this sync properly with my different with my password manager and stuff like that? So
Mhm.
I'm kind of hesitant, but I'm really looking forward to a future where this is better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Um, No, it feels like it's just too early for me, and I have a lot of trust issues just in that I don't want to be bound to a vendor specifically for all my bass keys. Um, but
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
All right, what's the secret?
Oh God. Okay. Righty. So I don't want to show the secret app off because then that'll be the secret is blown. Um, However, I'm working on something with surprise, real time video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leveraging the stack I've already built, and if you think about the special effects that I've got in the VJ app, what this is aiming towards is something that lets normal people, as it were, regular people, use these effects with video in one way or another. And that's all I'm really going to say on
In
what it
in in
does.
in video calls? Oh wait, you're not gonna say anything more. Okay,
Nah,
I'm
no, not
I'm
in
uh,
video
I'm I'm,
calls,
I'm
but
excited, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter, which I'm already subscribed to. So.
nice. So I'll update you there. But the link to this bug is that um, one of the things that I've got going on with the whole thing, about a year ago when I moved the app over to using this node based approach that I've built, I made a little app for the iPad. And actually
Mm-hmm.
works on the Mac as well, but and it will work on the iPhone, but it is terrible because the UI needs a big screen. Um, but the app is literally a GUI for the nodes where I can connect them together visually.
Oh yeah, you showed me screenshots of that once.
Yeah, so I'm waving my hand around right now, which nobody can see if they're listening, but it works nicely with the pencil on the iPad.
Oh, I can
Um,
imagine. Yeah, I can totally see
yeah,
that.
so there I am playing with both new app and the node connecting app, which doesn't have a name. But I'm literally noodling around, Daniel, with nodes, connecting them together.
Yeah, I love that word.
Um, I made I made everything codable, so I can export it out as a JSON file, and then I can load the combined effects as a single effect into the new app. And I'm playing, and performance goes to absolute custard. Like frames are dropping, obviously. So I'd already been down a trying to optimize where are the issues in this.
Custard.
Yes. Um, so this has been the last week for me. Last weekend I was all the way down in the stack trying to figure out, okay, where is this going wrong? And that's part of how I got so quickly to everything the other day with this other issue.
Yeah, that's the thing
Yeah.
when you try to when you have all the puzzle pieces ready. Sometimes you can like build really impressive things really quickly
Hmm.
because you have so much already there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realized
Exactly.
today that today when I built some pretty some pretty neat charts in
Hmm.
relatively quickly time, just because like I had so many puzzle pieces around. But I can tell you about those later.
Yeah. Definitely.
When do we
I
hear
think
more
I'm.
about the secret app? Is this like something
Uh
that is definitely on the release train, or is this something you're just like noodling around with, and it's more an
Yes,
internal tool?
good question. I'd love to get it released, and actually, my objective is to kind of have it released by sort of February, March time next year, which seems like it's ages away, but it's really not. And I also have some commitments to get Go VJ Pro into a test flight release before Christmas. So the
Hmm.
two are fighting at the moment for my time when I'm
Yeah.
not on bug hunts. Um, but yeah, I do plan to release it. It's at the moment the question I've got for myself is it something I'm having more fun with that other people won't? Um, I don't know. Is this just something that seemed like a good idea at the time for me?
Yeah. Hard
Um,
to say.
yeah, yeah. So I think the game with this one is for me really should be about getting it to something that I can give to people as soon as possible as a beta, so I can get some of that feedback and then either go,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, this idea's missed the mark, kill it, or more likely, I think there'll be a just tweak this, change this, and then it'll start to scrub up as being something releasable. So we shall see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm going to get you on my beta, Daniel. Don't worry. I definitely want you to
I
see
do
it.
have a very old iPad. Like if it runs on that, like I'll be impressed.
Oh God, you're going to give me bug reports? No. Oh,
You asked for it.
I literally do. Oh, I'm looking down our notes, Daniel. We've
Hmm.
got a whole bunch of things we could talk about. What do you want to talk about next? Because
What do I want to talk about? Um, I want to talk about what I did today because it's super fresh. Um, and it pulls in with our slightly new theme of the show that we want to talk about like the business side of things. And
okay,
these days, the business side of things means that I am trying very hard to find a project management solution or method, I guess, that
yep,
works with the restrictions that are placed upon exactly TelemetryDeck and myself, especially, but also like our freelancers, contractors, whatever. Um, and so the thing is, I get so many things coming in, and I have like such a huge list of things that I would like to do, and so it's always hard to prioritize. And what I did, and you know this because like we talked about this on the show for ages, like I have this roadmap and I'm using it more and more. So if something comes in and I can like slot it in, like if a bug report comes in or like a request for a tiny feature, like if I can slot that in with a roadmap item, then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to attach it to that roadmap icon and then I can actually work on it.
yep,
um and it's also like if you have like these big chunky roadmap items, you can way better reason like which one should come first. Like should we do the this like this, for example, like we just released the revenue cat integration, like, and that kind of slid in before like because I've been working on the pricing system, which desperately needs an upgrade for ages now. But like this kind of like slid in because we really wanted to release the revenue cat integration like as ASAP, and it's like smaller. And now another thing kind of has slid in because if you remember last year around this time, I released a thing, or we released a thing for TelemetryDeck called TelemetryDeck Wrapped.
Oh yes.
which is
Yep.
obviously inspired by like Spotify Wrapped or the equivalent iTunes, no, Apple Music
Apple
feature,
Music.
where it just
Yep.
like
Yep.
shows you like, okay, how was your year? What are the things you were listening to on your music and stuff like that? And like lots of companies do this these days, and I was like, this is actually kind of neat. Like I would like to like look at my apps and reminisce and feel good about, like what happens. Thing is though, like we have so many like important things to do, and so
Mhm.
so I was like, I need a few days to work on this. And Lisa is like, Daniel, you asked me to tell you when you are like straying off the path, and that feels like straying off the path. And so I'm like, you're right. I'm just gonna, I'm just like tomorrow. I'm just gonna take the old code that I wrote last year and like just take exactly that, not change a thing, just like
Mhm.
re-enable it. And so I did this. So I did that yesterday evening, and I was like, oh, but you could like fairly easily just like change the layout, right? And then I was
Yep.
like, oh, but you could fairly easily, because I have like under the hood, the charting and querying system has like dramatic updates. You could very easily make this a bit prettier and like make it a bit more customized. Um, and I'm like, oh, and you could like very easily just like, because Tailwind, the library that I use for like layouting and stuff, has this cool bento box style now that you can use. And they're like, you know what? Like if I do this, like Lisa is on vacation today. If I can finish this today, if I can finish all of this in one day, then it won't count. Let
Okay.
me show you what I built. I actually loaded
I, I
in
love I love
your app.
how the business side also directly links up with the getting deep into a bit of random
Yeah,
dev
like
side, don't you?
I allowed myself one day off, like just like doing things. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna share how this is. Look, this is like live off my
Mhm.
PC, off my Mac actually, and this is
I'll just
GoVJ.
move you
This is your
to
app.
my bigger
You gave
screen.
me
Yep.
permission to share this earlier, so
I did. I
this
did.
is the data.
I consent. It's okay. Yep. So
And by the time this
data
episode goes out,
protection.
this will be live. So
Yeah.
I don't mind sharing that at all. There's
Cool.
there's just a new menu item appears. It's called wrapped. It's some sort.
Mhm.
I chose a image of a tortilla because I like gifts feel too cliche. Like I was like,
Yeah.
what else can we wrap as a tortilla?
Excellent.
And yeah, I have this nice little bento box
Taco
with all
deck.
kinds of with all kinds of neat little information about your app. One
I
thing I'm
love that
particular
back in
like
May that
yeah.
it's highlighted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the GoVJ 3 release. I
Yeah,
think
one
if I
of
look
the
back.
the boxes that I have is like best day, where it says like, okay, GoVJ had its best day on Friday, May 24th, when 77 people used it at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of neat, because that's like so like just like technically it's so cheap to build, but I think it's just an awesome idea. That's an idea by Marina, and they were like, hey, how about, can we do that? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually like the easiest thing.
So I'm just looking down my commits and just trying to see what I had around about that day. Yeah, that has gotta be yeah, it's version 3. Um and version 3 brought the camera input, and
Oh,
that
very
gained a lot of
nice.
interest. Yeah. No, this is cool. This is cool. This is interesting to see. So I'm
Yeah, and
going
so
to look at
because the
there.
charting system, yeah,
Yep. I will shamelessly screenshot that when that is ready and use
that's what it's
that for an
for.
Instagram post. Yes.
That's what it's for. Please do. Like, because last time we did this, like, it was so nice to see everyone sharing this, and it got a lot of people talking about their data and like TelemetryDeck in general. And so I'm really hoping
Yep.
that this will happen again. And so I'm really taking, I really wanted to do it to make it pretty, like to make this look like a very nice interactive infographic, and that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm particularly proud of the fact that I can now just like modify these charts. Like for example, in the top right, we have a pie chart, but I changed the angle so you only have a quarter of a pie chart. Like all the data is only in the
Mm-hmm.
quarter of a pie chart, so I could really shove it into the corner of this bento box and still have it like look pretty.
Yeah, it's
And
nice.
I can stack the charts on top of each other. And all of this is like the normal TelemetryDeck charting system
Mm-hmm.
and the normal querying system. It's just like these things are by now very component based, so I can combine them in different fun ways. And this is cool because I really wanted to do this kind of data visualization thing. And most of the time I can't do it because I want to make things that are like usable in all kinds of situations. And
Yep.
here I could just make things pretty, because like
I
it
love
will
it.
always
Yeah.
look like this. Like I know what kind of data is going in.
Yep.
Your app is in the top 95% of apps on TelemetryDeck, which is yeah, most apps probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Um,
one thing, yeah,
5,335 individual people have used GoVJ this year, which
right,
I was a bit like, oh, that feels a little smaller than I expected in some ways, based off sort of installs and some gut feel. But you've got a nice little tagline there that says, GoVJ has touched the lives of 5,335 people this year. That's about 4 New York City subway trains at full capacity, which is a comparison that I love. That's
yeah. I was working on this, and I was like, even if these numbers sometimes can seem a bit small to us, and so I really wanted to highlight the fact that these are actual, real people who have used the things that we are working on, and
mm-hmm.
that is so cool. That like when I actually visualize like 5,300 people, like that is a lot of people, That is,
Yep.
and so I try to come up with like I have a basically an array of different sizes, and it will just like try and pick into intelligently something to compare it to, like. And I'm hoping people get a bit of a kick out of like trying to find the different comparisons and stuff.
I love it. One last thing I looked up there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the at the top it says most used device iPhone 12, 1, and
Right.
it's used by 5% of users. And I looked up that device ID, and it's the iPhone 11.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is good to know because guess what my new test device is after all of the circle of life of new devices and updates have happened in my device in my house.
Oh, very good.
I've got an iPhone 11 coming back to me from my eldest kid as a test device. So,
Right. Although,
mm,
like, this panel might not use, like, we discovered this just before the show started, like, might not use all the data right now because, as you might recall, TelemetryDeck changed its parameter format. And right now, the query for these panels sometimes only uses the new parameter format. So, like, there might be like devices sending in an old version of GoVJ, and then that kind of
mm-hmm,
won't be included in that. And that's the same for because I have a panel that's called app versions,
yep,
and that shows like three versions for you: 3.4, 3.3, and 3.5.
yep,
And I assume it's probably the same here. That like there are actually more versions, or there might be more versions, but they
yeah,
might be
there will be.
using an older version of the TelemetryDeck SDK. So one thing that I need to do before releasing this is actually updating the queries a bit so that they will try and combine the old data with the new.
Yeah, for me, I think it's perfectly usable as a visualization, just as it is, and I think even with that considered, um, yeah, this is good to see, Daniel. I'm looking
Fantastic.
forward to it being released. But
Right. Let me
yeah,
show you. Let me show you the website version as well. Like if we're
mm,
sharing things, because the if you have a website, it's about the same, but it's a bit different because I can show you where your visitors are coming from.
yep,
Most of the visitors for the TelemetryDeck website, for example, are coming from the US, followed by Germany, then the UK, then India.
Yep.
It'll show you like what is the most viewed web page, which is a blog post about the iOS market share, which will hopefully be superseded by our new orbital survey section soon.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you traffic sources, and again, I had fun with like half circles here. It gives you, of course, visitor numbers. These are a bit inflated though, because the way that we count users is not 100%. Like on the web, we only have the same unique identifier for a person for 24 hours, and then it changes because we don't want to set cookies and stuff like that. So this might be inflated slightly. Oh, but you
Mm-hmm.
see a different comparison here. It says TelemetryDeck website has been visited by 95,000 people this year. That's about 10 Lil Nas X concerts.
Dang.
I wanted to use Nine Inch Nails concerts, but I was like, do people even know Nine Inch Nails anymore?
Ooh, oh, that hurts. That kicks me
And
right in the 90s.
and I like Lil Nas X.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, that's the website version.
Brilliant.
And yeah, this is going live as soon as I fix those things.
Yep.
Since I already have stuff to do tomorrow, I might sit down later, but I no promises. But this is going live soon.
Are you going to tell Lisa how you used your time? Or is she
I mean,
just going to find that out when
she
she listens to the show?
she usually listens to this podcast anyway. But if she does, she will be super happy that I will have worked on something that is very like that will increase buzz, because buzz is very important.
It is indeed. I am looking forward to it. I took a screenshot while we were on the call because I want to take that 77 users on May the 24th and post about it somewhere. But
Let me
I'll wait.
let me take a proper screenshot with my computer.
Thank you
That is
for the resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it later actually, because I'm one-handed because I'm holding the microphone. Like.
Yep. You need some keyboard shortcuts to help you out with that.
I do need some keyboard shortcuts, but they're all messed up. Like. That's what you're alluding to, right?
You told me before the show, yeah.
an entry to the. I added an entry to our show notes that says Daniel's keyboard shortcuts are all messed up. And they are. Like, so what's happening is this. I recently, not recently, actually, I recently discovered, or I don't know, like it's been a few months, and somehow like half of my keyboard shortcuts stopped are not really working. Like Command C or whatever works, but everything that's more complicated, like I have a keyboard shortcut to open the Things app. I have a keyboard shortcut to that I use a lot. I have a keyboard shortcut for Spotlight, and I have a keyboard shortcut for, let's say, 1Password. And those are all like flaky. They're flaky in a weird way, and that is so annoying to me. And I like, sometimes they work, sometimes they just like they just don't, you know. And I mean,
Right.
and I'm at my wit's end. I have a few suspicions. Like, I have two apps installed on my computer that are kind of also trying to mess with these keyboard shortcuts. Like, one of them is Paste. It's a clipboard manager, and it's really good, but it's of course it takes over Command C and Command V, right? And Paste somehow crashes every now and then. Or right, it doesn't crash. It kind of just disappears. Because I looked into the crash log, and like there's just no crash logs. You know, there's just like nothing.
Right. Okay.
So I wrote to their support, and they're super friendly, and were trying to guide me through disabling or enabling various features. But this is an ongoing process. So no hate to the people who make Paste. Like, lovely app. I will still recommend it. But every now and then it kind of disappears. But that changes some of my screen. But the other thing is, I installed, just to try it out, like the Mac app for ChatGPT a few months ago. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, that app wanted to take over various keyboard shortcuts to like open instead of Siri.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'm just tried it out. I don't really want to use it, but it's still there somewhere, like I disabled the screenshot, but it's like still lurking somewhere beneath the
Yep.
surface. It is just
Yep.
there. And then I installed the new Mac OS, and I have now it has like type to Siri, and that also wants a keyboard shortcut, and that always works like somehow. Like I added it, I put it on like just like tap the command key twice. Yeah, just works. Like the Siri behind it like doesn't do anything because it's still dumb old Siri, but it looks pretty, and that always launches. So I'm like, I'm confused, and I kind of want to just reinstall the whole system and just like go back to a
Yep.
known state.
Yep.
But yeah, if anyone out there has any very cool ideas, I'd love to hear them on the Mastodon or on the Blue Sky or whatever, wherever you can reach me.
Oh, I'm thinking this one through, Daniel, thinking about everything you've got going on working wise. Do you really have the time to spend without a working setup?
I don't.
No.
No, I just like I feel like we just need a very large customer
Mm-hmm.
that buys like a yearly plan, and then I'd be like, ooh, that bank account suddenly looks so full. I think I need to buy an M4, and then I can use this M1 while I'm setting up the M4.
Yeah, true. True, that works. The other way you could do it if you had to hand the right external drives is I guess you could make a working installation on another drive, get that to where
I've heard
like
bad things about like working off external drive on
yeah.
Apple and not Apple Intelligence, but like Apple Silicon.
I was just thinking in general, like set up the machine on a new drive, get it to where you need it, and then if you needed to boot back into the original, you
Oh, I
could.
see.
Yeah. Then when you're sorted with the clean setup, you do a time machine backup, and then you reload that on top of your main machine.
Oh yeah, no,
That
Time Machine doesn't
feels
work on this machine as well anymore. I don't know why,
oof.
but if I try to do Time Machine onto the Synology or an external drive, it's like I'm trying to calculate the differences. I am trying to find the differences between the old and the new backup. I'm looking at calculating the differences, and it's just stuck there.
It just gets
I've let
stuck.
it just like churn for a few days, and it's just like
It's
never
Chat
going to
GPT, Daniel. It's in there.
the
It's
copying stage.
lurking.
I think actually like that's another thing that I did. Like how when you, especially with JavaScript, you have like 40 billion dependencies on everything. So I found this app that tries to find all these dependencies folder that are just like temp folders on your hard drive and marks them as excluded from Time Machine backups. And I think
Right.
like thinking back to it, I think that is where I just like fried my Time Machine backups because I
It's
wanted to
getting
do the
itself
right thing
stuck.
because John
Yeah.
Syracuse had told me so.
Oh, it's a fair thing to do is to make sure it's not backing up stuff it doesn't need to.
Yeah, especially because like these like very large number of files that are all very small, like there's like horrible to back up, and they
Yeah.
change all the time. They churn like yeah, and that like it's completely useless because like you type in PNPMI one time and it just like re-downloads them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what should be done is like just completely disregard, like destroy all the Time Machine backups and start from fresh. But when I tried that now, also didn't work anymore. So yeah, I'm like one of those people who has a pristine computer and a pristine installation. And because I've been just like using the thing so much, like it is just like very, very used.
Dang. I feel like this is all the way through to rationalizing the M4 purchase for you, Daniel, to be honest. Which, given my last couple of days, I cannot pass comment in that regard. But I hear they're good machines, and
The good machines, Brunt.
yep, and something YOLO. So you know, if you need an enabling opinion, Daniel, I think
Appreciate it. I think I'm going to stay with this one for a while longer, though. It has
that's
this
fair.
really nice sticker.
Oh, Or is that a TelemetryDeck sticker by
It's
any
a
chance?
TelemetryDeck sticker. Yeah, spoiler alert.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you know anything about the keyboard shortcuts, but like I think the solution is just like to reinstall everything. But I want to talk to you about like people writing in.
mm-hmm.
You told me we have some feedback on changing the name of the show.
We do indeed. So,
Because while you're looking it up, like recapping, we talked the last time about do we maybe want to change the name of the show? Now we are less Apple developer focused. Like I'm writing software mostly in JavaScript and Python and Swift on the server. And like
mm-hmm.
you are very deep in iOS and core animation, but you are also looking at other things. And we were talking more about our businesses. So do we want
Yep,
to change the name of the show? People had thoughts.
they did. So this particular piece of listener feedback comes from Jim Rea. Jim is a listener of the show, but he's also a good friend. And I've just realised I actually don't know how Jim pronounces his surname. So, although he's a good friend, if I've messed that up, mate, I'm really sorry. Uh, but um, however, what did Jim say? Jim said, I strongly vote that you keep the waiting for review branding. I changed a product name once that I really didn't need to, and I really regret it. I think you've got an excellent name already, and it would still be fine with all the topics you're talking to. And let me say that again. It would be still be fine with all the topics that you're talking about discussing on the show. So I agree. You put that together. What is Jim saying? He's saying if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. I mean, he's the
Um,
guy that's driving home for Christmas, right?
no, that's his brother Chris. Stop it.
Oh, okay, okay. Chris Rea. Yeah, okay. No, but if like, no, I'm fine. I
Yep,
really wasn't able to think of a better name. I
yep.
had a few fun ones, but you were rightfully vetoing those.
I think I did. Yeah, I can't remember which one I vetoed from you now, but
You vetoed pretzel and kiwi,
yes, yes.
which
Although
is
if we
probably a good idea to veto because like I would just be hungry all the time.
pretzel and kiwi, for some reason, it sounds like one of those old like Saturday morning cartoons to
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Which, if the AI ever gets good enough for us to generate, Daniel, we can totally do some shorts that are pretzel and kiwi.
I
Um,
imagine something like there was like an era of more like Saturday morning animation shows that was just like incredibly weird, but like in a fun
yep,
way. Like there's one I forgot the name right now, but it's like a cat and a dog that are kind of sewn together, like they're both like
it's
they're
literally
sharing a
called
body.
in English. It's literally cat dog.
Oh,
It
perfect.
was
Yeah,
called cat dog.
and that
Yeah.
kind of like that kind of weirdness and also
Yep.
visual style. That's what I'm imagining for pretzel and kiwi.
Well, that's fair. Let's wait for GPT to get it. Every time I put my thumb up, I'm getting a little thumbs up pop up, which is far too amusing. But no, so thank you, Jim, for your feedback, mate. And I think certainly for now, I feel settled on this. Like I've had a bit of a think in the last couple of weeks as well. Much like yourself, Daniel, I couldn't come up with a better name. It would feel silly, I guess, to maybe change it just out of nowhere. So until something comes along and we're like, yeah, actually, this is the new name and we should definitely move to that, I think it's let's keep trucking. We are waiting for review. And
We are waiting for review.
absolutely. On that note, Daniel, I need to wrap. I need to go. My day is starting here in New Zealand. So do you want to take us to the outro?
I do. Yeah, I also need to wrap because like the cats are getting hungry. I don't know. Like, did you notice actually they were like jumping around my feet and stuff?
No, I didn't notice. But
But even better, like I'm gonna feed them right after this. But first, thank you so much for listening. Please, because this is waiting for a review, you gotta review us on iTunes and YouTube. Just add a comment, like us, rate us on iTunes. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com and join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. And Dave, tell us where people can find you.
You can find my apps over at lightbeamapps.com. You can find my video postings about my apps over on Instagram. The account name there is lightbeamapps.com with .com spelled DOT.com. How about yourself, Daniel?
I finally made the thing where I was able to connect the domain name to the Blue Skies. So now my company is on Blue Sky called at telemetrydeck.com. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So follow me there.
Brilliant.
Have a great day. Also follow me on the normal on my private Blue Sky account, but I'm going to have to think about the account name some more because it's just impossible to spell. Yeah. See you next week and have a great day.
You too, Daniel. Take care, mate.
Bye.